We are back for another Embodied Love Lounge podcast, and we have a guest with us, a very special one, Sex Therapist Crista Reid.
Whoop whoop.
And we are going to be going into the do-me's and don't-me's of play parties.
Yes, otherwise known sometimes as sex parties.
Mm-hmm.
Play party, sex party.
Well, let's start off then. Well, what is a play party, sex party? Is there a difference?
Absolutely. So, play party, a sex party, any event where people are getting together to intentionally or unintentionally share sexual experiences. There's a whole range of different styles of them. I would say a play party could be less explicit and might encompass a wider range of activities such as kink, BDSM, sensuality, Tantra, and a sex party would indicate maybe a more explicit event where there might be direct physical contact with genitals, more clothing being removed, things like that.
That sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for clarifying.
And why would a person go to one of these?
Well, why? So many different reasons. Somebody might go to these because of the wow factor. When you hear the word sex party, that might be a big eye-popping moment of
Exactly.
oh my gosh, what is that?
Smell like Tupperware.
I've read about that in naughty books. But I would love to experience it.
Yeah.
And somebody might go to it because it's their community where they get to feel freely sexually expressed and have other non-judgmental people around them, where there's freedom to be naked, to be sometimes engaging in ethical non-monogamy or polyamory in those spaces, or swinging even. And other reasons are people might just be curious to kind of open their eyes to what other sexual experiences are out there.
And sometimes it's a surprise because of my career, I've been invited to parties, but in the beginning I didn't know what I was getting involved with. I'd just be invited to come to this party. It's New York City. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, this kind of party. So I wasn't totally prepared for the experience.
So they didn't give you full informed consent?
Oh, no, I was not informed whatsoever. I just thought it's a New York party. This is how they party in New York.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll talk about that more of the do's and don'ts of
Exactly.
how to watch out for what kind of play party to go to.
Yes.
Well, I remember the first one that I had gone to was, it had I would imagine, it was just kind of like a bunch of people in a pile on a floor, but instead it had this kind of booth theme, and so there was just a large variety of there were people that were playing with wax in one corner, other were doing stuff with electricity, there was a tantra corner, there was an impact corner, there was a claws with metal claws corner, so each corner of this almost upstairs and downstairs, what was a warehouse, had been transformed into sort of like a little carnival where you'd go to each booth, and it wasn't really a booth because it was more of a corner, and you'd just see very different things going on. And it was really interesting too, because there were some things that you'd never even think of before, and you got to go, oh, is that me? Is that not me? Is this interesting? Do I want to be tied up? Do I want to be dunked underwater? It was quite interesting.
Crista,
Learning experience.
I'm really curious because there's the party, right? The play party, the sex party, but I've also been at 4-day conferences where it's a 4-day play sex party with classes, but it's ongoing stuff. And then there's places, quote unquote, like dungeons. So can you explain a little bit, what is that spectrum? What's going on there?
Yeah. Well, I think you both just introduced some really great examples. Cited it sounds like, the more glamorized, kind of the exclusive VIP, you don't really know what you're getting into. Is it VIP sex party thing? And Erin, it sounds like what you described is more of a tasting party style where people get to go around to those different stations.
Have little experiences.
Cognitive taster.
I think that happened to me once. Someone had those suction cups that you get, for Chinese medicine, but they were putting them on nipples.
Cupping. Yeah.
And
Sounds like you were getting tasted.
oh, I'd never seen that happen before. And liquid came out. I was like, what's this? So it was kind of a fascinating. I thought it was just friendly. That experience was actually nice because when there was these little kind of stations, then you can just play. Someone was spanking, and I was like, okay, let's see how you spank, and they're kind of moving around. But everything is invitation and consensual.
Yeah, and that's one of the really important parts is how comfortable attendees feel, regardless of the structure of the event, because there are definitely spaces you can enter into that are more of that orgy feel where everyone is kind of naked together, and it's very much about the group participation, and hopefully a skilled facilitator or space holder is enrolling participants to a positive experience, and a big part of that is the permission to step out of the orgy experience. And that's why those tasting style type of events where, you know, most people are going to be fully clothed or being observers. A great word for that in sex party land is to be a voyeur, which means to be watching. And I always love to say voyeurism is participation. I learned that from one of my dear friends, Reid Mihalko, who is a sex educator and play party host himself. And other styles would be like, what else did you mention?
Well,
the dungeons.
There's dungeons, and then I also had an eyes wide shut experience where it was full men and men in tuxedos. The ladies could be in full lingerie or ballroom gowns. That was the range at that party with very strange little. They had all kinds of strange little things going on where some women were just walking around naked but wearing these wild masks, and you never saw their faces. So very curious.
Then you also have the swinger club.
Yeah, swinger clubs. Had one in Denver, and that's where I had a lot of my coming into the sex party world personal experiences. Was at a swinger club in Denver.
I think I accidentally walked into a recruiting party for one of those things in Orlando.
Oh.
I ended up on a rooftop party with the woman who runs my company, and she's very religious. We didn't know. And we're dancing, and then I started to realize where we were and what was going on, but she was oblivious. And she's like, oh, they're all so nice. And Saida, they invited us to a party later. And I'm like, yes, you don't want to go to that party. So, we didn't realize, but it was a place where everyone was wearing all kinds of upside-down pineapples shirts.
Yeah, upside down pineapples, for those who don't know, in the swinger community are a symbol of, hey, I would like to swing with you.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say then are some of the different themes that someone might encounter when going to these different types of booths or tasters?
At a tasting party?
Yeah.
Themes? Well, you already mentioned a lot of them. So, common tasting party experiences would be anything from different types of sensual touch, like anything as light as feathers, to soft fur, to just there's these spiky wheels called Wartenberg wheels that create a really amazing prickly sensation on the skin. Claws, you said.
Maybe some rope.
Shibari rope, which is the Japanese art of rope tying, or other rope suspension. That's usually a huge crowd pleaser. A lot of people love getting tied up. A lot of other people love to learn tying. Impact play is another great one. Using a flogger or other paddles or impact toys, and that's a really amazing sensorial one as well as one to watch just because of the dynamic action. And often somebody will be bent over with their booty sticking out for that to happen. So
I love just your deeper insight, because I know for me and some of the people I know, just the idea of it, in the past for me, it was scary. It was weird things happen there, weird people go there, and I'm not going to be safe. Could you just speak to that a little bit? Because I know you create a lot of safe experiences in your past, and you've been to safe places, so I'd love to hear more on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can be really nerve-wracking going to a play party for the first time. It's likely an experience that the majority of people on this planet are not going to have in their lifetime.
Yes.
And we're among a special bunch, even you listening to this podcast right now, to be entertaining the idea or be experimenting with this sort of thought. So I first of all would just say, like, Saida, yes, it's so comfortable. It's like so normal to be nervous going to a play party.
Yeah.
And all sorts of people go to play parties.
What if I'm like super normal and vanilla? Can I still go?
You can still go, and guess what? You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. You can just watch. And that's also one of the green flags to look out for. If you're ever in a play party space, a sex party space, and you feel pressure to interact or be sexual in a way you don't want to be, that should not be happening. And I'm giving you permission right now to leave that party.
Yes.
If you ever end up in that situation.
Yes, I think that's very, very important, is to come in with your sovereignty. Have a look. You might feel uncomfortable. You might feel excited. There's all kinds of sensations that can move through. But if at a moment you're just really not feeling like it's for you, you can just bow out.
Absolutely. And one of the ways to really set up an experience where you're hopefully not going to want to walk out of the party because
you're enjoying yourself.
We want you to enjoy yourself. We want you to have increased pleasure in these environments. That's why the facilitators put in so much care in creating them, is having some sort of opening space to set the tone and set the expectations and hopes for the evening. So coming in with, we like to say, a high possibility, low expectation environment in these play party
Say more about that,
settings.
please.
So oftentimes part of those nerves that can come up have to do with what we think is going to happen, or how our scripts are about how we need to perform or how I need to perform as a sexual being in front of other sexual beings. And it's so human to be wrapped up in that kind of nervousness of wanting to look a certain way or perform a certain way, especially around sexuality where there can be so much shame. So coming in with low expectation of what's going to take place in that environment can really help protect against disappointment or like things not going the way you think they might go.
Yes, usually it never does.
And this is a great example for just how to treat life too.
Yeah, exactly.
But the high possibility really invites getting to sample into, well, what would be one really small sweet thing that I would love to just enjoy that would just make tonight, really sweet, really lovely, got to try one little thing, or witness or watch one little thing, all the way to like, oh, well, there's a possibility of this really juicy fantasy I have coming true, and maybe I'll meet some people tonight that I can do that with. Maybe.
Yes. What about safe sex protocols? Is that part of it? Is there a conversation on that, or is it just expected that when you go, you're informed already?
Yeah, we love having safe sex conversations at play parties and helping teach people how to have those conversations and give them the tools is another great way to start off one of those environments to really set up guests to have the conversation tools they need to succeed and to feel comfortable.
I could imagine.
Talking the sexy talk.
Super important. So if you're really nervous and you don't know how to communicate, but you do know that you need to, then you might be able to just go there and learn that one skill, and that maybe is your experience for the evening, which is a good life skill, I believe. What about couples? I know, like for me, when I went on my own, I was fine because I didn't have anything to negotiate. I just had myself. But then when I went with my husband a long time ago, that was very difficult. I had to constantly negotiate his desires, which were very different than mine, and I was constantly like freaked out and unhappy, and he would disappear and then reappear, and so
such an important part of the consideration, Saida, and it's absolutely part of what we would teach in a thorough consent conversation. Would include any agreements pre-existing that you have in your relationships. relationships in your life is like a huge part of that consent convo. So you would want to be communicating right off the bat as you're engaging with someone like, hey, these are my pre-existing commitments with my partner that, you know, I'm okay if you pull my hair and scratch my head and stroke me with soft fur, but I don't want you to smack my ass or like touch me anywhere underneath my clothes, for example.
Okay.
When you, I guess those conversations would be similar to the ones that you'd have with yourself as well before going, so that you really are clear as well, like, well, what is it that I do not want to do, or what is it that I possibly want to explore, so that way then you can feel a little more confident, even if you're a single person.
And you might not know those things if you're new to play parties too, which
Exactly.
could increase the nervousness.
Yes.
So it might be good to start off just like going and being a voyeur, watching what other people are doing, bringing that conversation back to your partner, or going with your partner to see like, hey, this is what's up, and like make it a bit of a research mission before you're really wanting to dive in.
Yeah, I think that's important. A few of my clients really wanted to go, so it gave them kind of a basic, here's the parameters. You're not having to do anything. You can just go and check it out. And they loved it. They went. They didn't participate. They were voyeurs. They looked around. They were like, okay, this is what's going on. They went home, and then they said that best sex all that week. It was so charged. And so sometimes that's the gift of also taking that risk and feeling into that erotic edge.
Yeah, without even doing anything, because it just sort of adds new perspectives into your own sex life.
Yeah.
What if a person is concerned, for instance, that they might run into somebody that they know, or that person might then speak about them outside of the party? Like, how does that whole thing work in terms of confidentiality for anyone that would be concerned around that?
Yeah, a really common concern. So I'm glad you brought that up. And different event spaces are going to handle that in different ways again. But my favorite way, and the way that a lot of the sex party hosts that I look up to would handle something like that, is as part of setting up and setting agreements at the beginning of the play party when everyone's there in the space together. So we're talking again as part of our consent learning, setting boundaries with each other to empower each other to have safer, braver experiences together. And around confidentiality, one of the things that you might hear, and this would be another green flag for a play party, is everyone's identity is it's kind of like what happens at the play party stays at the play party.
Like a little Vegas?
Yeah, a little bit like that. We're not going to share identifying details or characteristics like specific tattoos or what that person looked like or their name anywhere outside the play party. Like, this can put people's jobs at risk. It can put their family relationships at risk. It's like pretty serious. You don't know somebody's context outside of the play party space. So really owning your own perspective, sharing your stories with I statements, and like, you still want to be able to share your experience of the yummy, juicy times that you hopefully had at these play parties. But yeah, really honoring other people's stories staying there, you bringing your own story out of the space.
What do you think are the kind of the fun, titillating parts of an adult wanting to either host or even experience? Because I'm kind of curious, what makes it fun? We talked about the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
What's the juicy, fun parts of it?
For somebody wanting to host?
Yeah, let's just say someone's like, would you need all this experience first? Or you're like, you know what? In my village, my community, there's nothing like this happening. I would like to just invite a few good friends and their partners, and what would that?
Oh my gosh. I think it's so great when people in local communities want to bring their friends together to have sexy house parties. And I would totally want to lift that up. I think one of the things that can really help that work again is consider just having a potluck or having a dinner with the people who you want to play with before you go into play mode. I know there was one play party community that was just like a local group of friends, and the way they would structure their events is the Friday night they would get together for a dinner, And then the Saturday night, they would get together for play. And this really helped them just get to connect and kind of drop into the energy before they're going into that deeper, yummy, juicy sex space. And again, it's just a reminder of how important the relational piece is, to really emphasize having a connected, positive, yummy experience when you're playing with others.
I really like that you mentioned connection, because it wasn't my experience in the majority of the play parties I went to. I didn't feel connected to anyone. I was being pushed and forced to like do something sexual, which I didn't want to do. I was happy just to like let people do their thing, but I didn't want to participate. And I remember one host literally screaming at me like, "You need to be effing right now." I'm like, really? This is what the energy of this party? I'm gonna leave. So
that's very disrespectful behavior. That host should have been asked to leave from the play party.
Yes. But I mention it only because there is a spectrum, and I want our listeners to like understand, like you don't have to stay in a situation that's not properly hosted. Crista laid out some really great guidelines. I never experienced a party that had those. You're just
for setting up the agreements.
You're kind of just randomly stumbling into this thing with a bunch of strangers, and there's no moment where everyone's kind of brought together, and there's nothing. It's just stuff is happening. An invisible gong goes off, and all of a sudden, for me, like everyone around me started having sex. I'm like, I didn't hear the go bell. Like, what's going on?
And you didn't know the rules.
I didn't know the rules. I didn't want to engage. Like, it was very strange experience.
Well, before we go into the explicit side of the podcast, is there then sort of like a time limit or a container that people can arrive and go, or is that not, I mean, is there sort of an open door people can just flow in and out?
Yeah, again, really context dependent. So some larger events or some events will just kind of be open door, and maybe like the ones you're mentioning, Saida, I'm not sure, where people can kind of flow in and out, and there's no formal start.
Yeah.
And there's also events where there's like a very strict closed door at a certain time, because at that point they want to know that everyone is in the container of the play party together in order for everyone to be present and hear what those agreements are.
Yes.
To understand what is being invited when the gong goes off, and understand how to unenroll yourself if you don't want to participate in what's being invited when the gong goes off.
Yes.
And for the ones, I guess, that have the open door policy, if you're looking for, let's say, the green flag of agreements, would this be maybe something that would be posted like ahead of time, that these are the rules, or what are some ways, I guess, that you could have agreements without having the closed door policy?
Yeah, some events might have agreements listed in the event description. Some spaces like BDSM dungeons might have user agreements or memberships that you're already participating in before you even go in the door. And another green flag for play party communities, if you want to have that more intentional connective experience, I think, would be looking for ones that are doing some sort of vetting process before going in.
What would that look like if you're getting vetted?
Yeah, it just depends on, again, what experience you're wanting to have. But in a lot of play party communities, there's going to be some sort of, you might be asked about what your intentions are for coming to a play party, if you've been to a play party before, what your hopes or fears are, like getting to know a little bit about you and your background so that your host can help you feel more comfortable.
And see if there's a match.
Yeah, because that is the host putting in the effort of creating a safer, more sustainable environment. Yeah. So you'll see those hints and signs if you take some time just looking at the event page. Is the host being curious about you? Is there anything on there talking about like what the event flow is going to look like? Or is it just kind of like, this is going to be a dance party? Is there is alcohol or drugs going to be there is another big consideration, because that can really change.
Is there a dress code? Because sometimes there's a dress code.
Even if it's not being dressed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, getting into the explicit side, I'll start off with a story.
Okay.
To join us for the complete and explicit version of the podcast, simply upgrade your membership and gain instant access.